Hi, I'm Carrie, and today I'm going to be reading to you from a book I wrote called Stories of the Saints with Pictures by Nick Thornborough. And the saint I'm going to be reading about today is Teresa of Avila, and this is her picture. And the story begins when Teresa was still a young woman. She got so sick that everyone in the convent she had joined was sure she was going to die, including Teresa. The other nuns already had her grave picked out. They even held a funeral for her. But instead of dying, Teresa got better. For a long time, she was paralyzed. Then she could only crawl around on her hands and knees. But finally, after weeks and months, she was able to walk again. And during all that time, she prayed. When Teresa prayed, sometimes she forgot where she was. She didn't see the world around her because she saw God and heaven and the angels. Sometimes when she saw these things, she was overwhelmed with joy. But she wasn't afraid to speak her mind to God, too. One day, when she was traveling, her donkey threw her into a river. "Lord," she said, soaking wet and covered with mud, "if this is how you treat your friends, it's no wonder you have so few of them." Another time, she heard God's voice say, "I don't want you to talk with people now. I want you to talk with angels." Immediately, Teresa saw an angel with a face of flame holding a golden spear with a burning point. The angel plunged the spear into Teresa. She could feel the spear pull everything that had been inside of her out, not just the flesh of her organs, but her memories and secrets, her sins and wounds, her fears and dreams. Nothing in Teresa's life had ever hurt so much, but it didn't leave her feeling hollow. Instead, she was filled back up with the love of God. Teresa spent the rest of her life teaching other people to pray in communities she started all over Spain. The people who joined her left everything behind to devote themselves to a life of prayer. As a sign that spiritual things were more important to them than material ones, they wore sandals even in winter, so people nicknamed them the Barefoot. "Prayer is like watering a garden," said Teresa. "At first, we have to draw water from a deep well by hand. It's hard work, and it seems to take forever. Later, as we get to know God better, it's as if a stream springs up in our garden. We don't have to drag water up from the dark pit of our hearts. Instead, it bubbles up in us. And finally, if we keep on in prayer, God Himself begins to pour rain on our garden, and it bursts into bloom with all kinds of fruit and flowers." Teresa also said that praying is like exploring a glass castle hidden in our hearts. In the first room, we find humility. The second room is where we learn prayer. There's a room for thoughtfulness and one for silence. Then there's a room full of light. After the light, we come to a room of dark night. It might even seem like we've lost our way. But finally, once we pray through all the rooms, in the very center of the castle, we meet God. Thanks for listening.